Welcome to What the Frac.
We are your fractional team, and today we break down marketing trends, strategies, and tactics
in 30 minutes or less
so that you can do the fun stuff like be creative.
Hi, Tamara.
Hello, Nicole.
I am so excited. We have a little bit of a special episode today. And in case no one knows what this is, you're going to learn by the end what this logo is.
I feel left out. I need one.
Well, today we have two amazing ladies who, quite frankly, have too much on their plate that we're just so thankful they're here with us today. We have Liz Pocock and Jessica. I already told her I was going to mess this up. Say it one more time, Jessica.
Suskind.
Liz is the CEO of Startup Tucson. Jessica is the associate producer of TenWest and Tucson Young Professionals. So we really have like a great viewpoint into organizations that help entrepreneurs, especially here in Tucson and in the Arizona area. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us. We're so excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And Nicole, we have some big news.
We do. So the reason we have this special episode is because we'll actually be speaking at the TenWest Festival. There you go. That is your logo. The TenWest Festival here in Tucson, Arizona. And if I'm correct, it is March 27th. Join us down there. And the TenWest Festival actually has events going on all week. We'll get to all of that here in a second. But if you want to come join Tamara and I and ask your burning business questions, please come join us.
We will be there live and together, which is rare for us. So very excited about it. But let's dive into why we're so excited about going there.
Yeah. So Liz, let's start with Startup Tucson. Can you talk a little bit about what Startup Tucson is, what it does, and why should we care about Startup Tucson?
Yeah, sure. So Startup Tucson has been working to support entrepreneurs in Southern Arizona since 2012. We are a nonprofit. We run we're industry agnostic. So we serve all types of entrepreneurs, including those that want to go raise VC money and angel money and are more in the scalable science and tech space, but also creatives and makers and people that are doing stuff on the side, stuff that starts as side hustles and then turns into more than that, stuff that starts as passion projects. And then, oh my God, I'm selling out. My mom's friend has bought 75 and now I got to figure out what to do. So Startup Tucson helps all types of entrepreneurs. We run mentorship year-round, educational programming year-round, and networking events to bring founders together with mentors and different partners within the community. And our biggest thing of all of the things that we do is the TenWest Impact Festival that is celebrating its 10th year this year.
Wow. I didn't realize it was in the 10th year.
Yeah, 2015 was when it was founded.
That's amazing. Tamara, I know that everyone's listening and they hear Startup Tucson, they hear that the festival's in Tucson, but there are organizations like this around the country that are helping businesses. And I just really, I've been involved in a lot of the Arizona ones since moving out here. You've been involved in a lot of the tri-state area ones, being on the East Coast. And I wish that I knew about these organizations when I started my companies, because it's all the things that I wish I had. Yeah. So I guess that brings up sorry, what were you saying, Tamara?
Oh, yeah, every business owner wishes that they had and it's so hard for small business owners and startups to like sort through the noise of what they need to be kind of like going, what accelerator program, what nonprofit, what grant, where can they find help? And so how how do startups, small businesses find you? What's the perfect fit for an organization to work with you?
Yeah. So for us, and there are similar organizations to your point, Nicole, across the country that do this in different ways. We consider ourselves sort of like the concierge of the Southern Arizona ecosystem. So we like to say, you can start with Startup Tucson. You may not actually do your coaching or mentorship or program with us, but we will get you to the right place because we're sort of like the front door to the ecosystem. So a lot of times people find us through partners. So they've gone to a mixer somewhere else and they've said, hey, have you talked to Liz? Have you talked to her team? They can get you connected to the right people. or they'll find us through searching. We like Google really well. If you're doing a startup or entrepreneurship in Tucson, we pop up right at the top. So we get all sorts of founders sort of finding us that way. And then, like I said, we sort of try to help them navigate. So some people will be a really great fit for our team, and we'll work with them doing that coaching, that direct goal setting. We help them prioritize. I think you're totally right, Tamara. Like the noise of all the things that you could possibly do as a founder in any given day is longer than my to-do list for TenWest 2 weeks out right now, as we just talked about all our whiteboards. But it's really hard to understand what you should do next and first. And so we treat our coaching, if you're in our membership and you're one of our entrepreneurs that we're working with regularly, you're going to do monthly check-ins with our team to really help you prioritize. Here's the 3 things I want to do. Okay, I'm still working on this as a side hustle and I have 10 hours a week max to devote to it. What's going to have the most impact on my business first? And what's stuff that I need to just move down that to-do list? I'm not going to forget about it. I'm going to put it down there that I know I want to accomplish that later, but I'm not going to do that tomorrow. And it's not going to get out of my brain so that there's room for the other stuff. And I can feel like I got some shit done today. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
It's real. It's a real thing.
I mean, for me,
yeah, answer the question.
I was going to say, for me as a founder, like I remember, starting up some of my businesses and being like the only person in an office, like at 4 o'clock in the morning, trying to like figure out all the things and being really overwhelmed. And this idea of meeting in with mentors and figuring out what's going to have the best impact. And all of these pieces are things that I think now we talk about in the business world, but not enough. And I think organizations like you guys are really having an impact on founders being able to not just start the company, but actually take it to fruition and make it happen. Yeah,
for sure. So we have about 80 volunteer mentors. So we do mentor pairings based on specifically, hey, I need a marketing mentor on this XYZ, or I really need to think about who my target customer is. We have entrepreneurs or mentors from all different sorts of backgrounds. So we'll pair founders with those mentors. And then the other thing I think that we focus on, which leads us into why we do TenWest the way we do TenWest, is really the connections. And we think it's, the founder journey can be really lonely. If you're an entrepreneur and you're at this thing and you're passionate about this thing, and all your friends or your family or your spouse or your partner like isn't in that headspace, they don't know why you're in the office at 4 a.m. still doing what you're doing, right? And you need somebody that like understands that same struggle, that understands those wins, that can just like really get you as a founder. And so we find that peer-to-peer connections are super important. And then peer-to-mentor, even if that's not like a formalized mentor, but somebody that like will pick up the phone when you call, when you're like, oh my God, this thing my whole website broke. What do I do? Like those sorts of things. You need that panic dial person, and you need that like, I had a really bad day, I need to go get a beer, or I had a really great thing, I'd like to go have a coffee and celebrate. Like you need that network. And sometimes that network is not going to be your family and friends. And so we do spend a lot of time working on true peer-to-peer connections as well.
Well, and so you bring up a really good point, something that I'm really interested in, coming down there for the first time. How did this get started? How did TenWest begin?
Yeah. So I will say I've been at Startup Tucson for all of except one TenWest. I've run all of them but the first one. But my husband did participate in the first one. So technically we've been part of all of them. But it was really a community-driven effort. So this need for connections, and then this need for connections across industries. So I think Arizona in general has a lot of professional development conferences, but they're very specific. So it's like a tech conference, or it's specifically a marketing conference, or it's specifically something in like a certain industry or space. But there's not a lot that are sort of this broader approach of making sure that there's intersections of these industries. And for entrepreneurs, that's the most important space, right? We're trying to push innovation, we're trying to push things beyond these boundaries that that don't exist in traditional industry spaces. And if you're somebody that's building something for a particular group of people, but you can never talk to those people, how are you going to build something that's super helpful for them? And if you're a creative that really wants to do something in a different space and do something that has to do with social impact and work within nonprofits, if you can't get into the nonprofit space and you don't know those people, you can't truly expect that any real innovation or movement's going to move forward. And so we, at the time, and it's still organized this way, we have 35 plus partners that work with us to put this together in some way. And that's the like beauty of the festival model, is that it really is about trying to find spaces where everything should not exist in one theme. There's always at least 2 or more themes happening at any given time to make sure that these intentional connections and intersections and collisions are happening throughout the festival. Do you want my buzzwords?
Yeah, I love the marketing here. And Tamara, we do this in our case studies all the time, right? Where magic happens is when partnerships happen, right? You see it in PayPal, like they wouldn't have been where they were without the eBay partnership, right? There's so many, case studies around this. And what I loved about last year at TenWest was like on stage, at a lot of these pitch competitions, you see a lot of technology, but on stage at your guys' pitch competition, we saw a alcoholic iced tea brand. We saw a kids toy brand, a doll brand that brought diversity to the toy industry. We saw medical devices. We saw climate change technology, right? So there's really that intersection, like you were saying, and that really can drive those partnerships that can build a business and make or break it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, I absolutely love that. And I think those types of gatherings and bringing people together, like Nicole said, like you said, that's where the magic happens. And you don't see it enough. This is going to be my first time, so I'm excited to go down there and be there. When you are having people come, what is it like? How would someone navigate this for their first time? What do they need to know?
Yeah, that's a great question. Jess, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, we have hotel partners that are listed on our website if you need a place to stay. So we have some great partners there to help you figure out where to stay. And then we're also partnered with Visit Tucson. They're a great supporter of ours. So they have their own community calendar and website of like all the other things that are going on in Tucson. So if you want to look at like what's going on outside of TenWest, we have partners that can help you with that. But for us, so this year we're decentralizing the festival, which is originally 10 years ago, that's how it started. But for the last few years, we've been in the convention center in one large space where everyone can just hang out together. So for this year, we're decentralizing so that we can activate more of our small business partners in the downtown area. So we have our headquarters at the Grand, which is a brand new venue space in downtown Tucson. And so we'll be there. And then we have all of our breakout sessions happening in 5 venues around there. They're all like a 5-minute walk away. So you're close, but you have to go explore our downtown, and which our downtown is what makes Tucson special. There's lots of businesses there. Most of it or all of it is locally owned. And so it's really that picture of who Tucson is. And so you'll start at the Grand. That's where you'll pick up your badge. We'll have coffee and tea there. So you can start your morning with us, wake up with TenWest. We'll have some other activations through our partners in that space for creativity. You can come and ideate with Play-Doh before you go into your sessions. And then from there, you'll walk down the street in one direction, north, south, east, west, to our 5 venue partners for your breakout sessions. And then we also will have lunch partners. So to facilitate more of those collisions that Liz was talking about that make TenWest special, over the lunch, we'll have an option for facilitated conversations in different like topic and interest areas from our TenWest friends. So it'll be some of our teams, some of our partners' teams, some other speakers and partners of the festival. So you can go and sit down with 10 people and have a conversation about tech and marketing, or about hiking and like all the cool places that you've hiked this week in Tucson, or anything like that. So, and then from there in the evening, we're sprawled out a little further around downtown. So we have some events on the University of Arizona campus at Centennial Hall, and at 191 Tool, which is another music venue on the north west side of downtown. And then we're also at the Rialto Theater. for our pitch competition. So all of that is, you can just hop on the streetcar, which is free for Tucson, and explore our different areas of town.
That's so great. And Nicole, I mean, I wonder how your experience is normally at like conferences, but that's one of my pet peeves about conferences is like, you go and it's just up to you to figure out how to like talk with people and meet people. And you kind of wander around and you awkwardly enter conversations when you can, right? And so having spaces to facilitate that and to like also be able to engage in the conversation that you want to have or the knowledge you need to have is so useful.
I think also, Tamara, I don't know about you, but I've been to many conferences in places where I'm like, yes, I'm going to this place I've never been, and then don't get to see that place at all or interact with the local community. Right. So we're like actually putting our money where our mouth is and going to be able to interact with local businesses. And I think there's another piece that many people might not know about TenWest, which is that each day is a different theme as well, correct?
Yeah, so our themes this year, we're starting off on Wednesday with trends. So that has some technology trends, emerging solutions, some stuff in sustainability, and also stuff in community impact. So things around, changes in philanthropy, changes in giving, why that's good for your business. We have a really cool session with around regenerative agriculture with a group out of Denver that does the malt. They're called Proximity Malt, and they have they do the malt that's grown in a regenerative agriculture, circular economy sort of thing. They're coming, the malt providers. Then the local brewery, Pueblo Vida, that made our TenWest beer with the hops or with the malt that came from this place, they're going to be on a panel. And then also New Belgium. So this is a group that serves brands as large as New Belgium under this, and then as small as a local brewery that's in Tucson. And so they're going to do a session around what that whole thing. They're part of a future commodities grant, so there's like financial implications of what it is. It's just like that's the sort of stuff where I talk about the intersections. That's just like very unique. So trends is all about things like that. That night, we are very excited, fellow podcast nerds, to have the host of How I Built This, Guy Raz, Centennial main stage with us. So that's a great show. We're super excited. We're doing a segment. He is doing his keynote around the 7 lessons he's learned from the world's greatest entrepreneurs. That's related to his new How I Built This book. We talked to him this last week, and hot tip, he is revamping his talk. So this will be the first time anyone has heard the updated version, which we're very excited about.
Wow.
And yeah, I know. And the first hour, we're actually going to do a Made in Arizona segment that's similar to How I Built This, founder stories. And the 3 founders that we're doing there are Lauren Bailey from Postinos and Upward Projects, if you guys know Lauren. And then Pavle from Los Milix. Mm-hmm. And then Manish Shah from Tucson-based Maya and Transit T. So they'll tell their founder stories in the same How I Built This style. And then we'll go right into Guy. And if you're a huge Guy fan, we have a special VIP meet and greet with him where you can do a book signing and like whole thing on stage at Centennial. And then the other 2 themes are entrepreneurship. Obviously, Startup Tucson. That's a core day. That day includes the pitch competition, 25 teams pitching for over $50K in prizes. And then the Friday is the creative day that also has a marketing summit inside of it.
Very cool.
Yeah. Are you guys doing the street fair again this year?
Yeah, so we're shifting a little bit with the street fair. We brought that online post-COVID when a lot of our normal markets were not back in operation yet. So it was, we're all about, same as we tell founders, filling the gaps. And then when the gap doesn't need us to fill it anymore, pivoting. So we're actually doing a partnership with Made in Tucson, which is an even bigger market that's now back in operation. They have 300 plus vendors. So they're running the market. And then that same day, we're doing a Corbett's takeover. Corbett's is a pickleball bar restaurant. They're just super fun. So we're taking over all of Corbett's. There'll be open play pickleball happening during the day. We'll have music all day. We're having a kids hour with the Children's Museum of Tucson and a children's entertainer, Mr. Nature. He's very popular with my 4-year-old daughter. We're also, he's got like a huge following. Talk about a guy that knows how to market his very niche industry. Mr. Nature is on it. And then we will have some whiskey tasting with Whiskey Del Bach. We'll have party headphones doing some silent disco. We'll do some different community art pieces, paint by number mural, chalk art competition, all that sort of fun thing. So we're inviting people to come out and interact with the Made in Tucson, support all those 300 local vendors, and then pop into Corbett's and grab a beer, lunch, interact with music and the art space that way.
I love how you have incorporated the local community. I mean, it just really is magical for the small business owners. And you know, like Nicole said, it's putting your money where your mouth is, which we don't see that often, right? And I just know now I'm going to have to challenge Nicole to some pickleball, and we're going to have to be doing
love. If you guys are wellness people, our new thing that we added this year, which I am so excited about, partnership. Again, you just hear me keep saying partner. The Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine, which is like nationwide known for integrative medicine, is doing a wellness summit with us on the Saturday. And so it's on site at their beautiful facility on campus. There's all these special rooms that are co-built to like that were built specifically with an architecture element to like encourage relaxation, or you know, all these, you'll get to engage with their whole building. There's traditional lecture sessions that are talking about, you know, all different aspects of wellness from some of their leading faculty and also some community members. But then there's also like a B track that's like, I'm going to go do puppy yoga. I'm going to get a massage. All of these different, very interesting wellness things. So Wellness Day on Saturday is going to be great.
I mean, they might be seeing us at more than just our event or our session here, Tamara, because I think we're just going to be the faces of TenWest doing everything that they've done. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, and Tamara, I know that some of these names that we're throwing, that Liz here is throwing out, may not resonate over there on the East Coast, but these are big people in the Arizona ecosystem. I mean, Los Milex is one of the biggest wine destinations right now. He's turned it into a destination. And what a lot of people don't know is we have a very rich wine scene in Arizona, both in the north and in the south. And so there's just a lot of really amazing names that you're naming. What I guess I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. And what I guess my question to you guys is like, how have you seen that the TenWest Festival has impacted local, like the economic development and the support of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so we engage, like you said, we work really hard to make sure that we're partnering with local vendors through all aspects. If you can see mine and Jess, you got your earrings on? Yep, these are designed by one of Sigfus earrings. She designs a specific TenWest earrings every year. So all of our swag, all of our special projects, we're doing a beer this year with Pueblo Vita. So there's all of the like direct spending implications. And those numbers are huge, you know, calculated with the fancy formulas that ACA uses to figure out how much economic impact you have in a given time. So there's like those sort of dollars spent. But I think the sort of more compelling side of TenWest is like the stories that you hear from people that have attended. So either somebody that's won the pitch competition and that's been an unlock for them, or someone that hasn't won, but that act of like, they do 2 months of training to even get to pitch the day of. So they're learning how to refine their story. They're learning how to deliver a 3-minute succinct version of their business. They're delivering that message in front of an engaged community audience that can then introduce them potential mentors or buyers or suppliers or whatever. So many times what we hear, and I think why our team gets excited about TenWest as like the biggest thing that Startup Tucson does, is all of the unlocks it creates. So I actually met that person at TenWest. Like you hear years later, they'll be telling you some part of their founder journey and they'll be like, oh, actually, that person was somebody that I met at this session, or I heard this person give this session and then I connected them and then they became my mentor, or they actually heard my pitch and then they became my investor. So that's what we think the less like data, like specific hard numbers, but more of the like narrative of what it does for entrepreneurs here. And then now we're starting to see a lot more engagement from Phoenix. Thank you, Phoenix friends, coming down. And I'm like sort of shocked how many, the pitch competition has always been open to all of Arizona. Usually we get like a handful of Phoenix companies. This year, I would say we had close to half of our total applications. So 130 applications, and I would say about half of those were from outside of Southern Arizona. And of those, I would say we probably have about half that advanced to the main stage or to the main day. So not all of them will be on the main stage, but to the main day. And so that's like amazing that we're seeing more state collaboration and that entrepreneurs are finding that this is helpful for them beyond just the Southern Arizona market.
Yeah. Tamara, if you've ever, I don't know if you've been to South by Southwest, but I keep telling people this is the South by Southwest for Arizona. Yeah. It's just such an amazing, I've been to so many conferences, marketing, all of these things, business conferences, and there's nothing like a South by Southwest where you get that incredible vibe from everyone there. And it incorporates art and music and all of these pieces. Mm-hmm. And you guys have captured that here. And I know for a while we were, I know for a while that Arizona was being called the new Austin, but like we really have captured something special down in Tucson. And I'm so happy to hear that you guys are getting more people from Phoenix in as well. So I guess we always like to talk about actionable steps that people can take. And I know that we're really plugging TenWest, but I want to go back a little bit to that Startup Tucson, that really helping business owners. If there was a business owner who wanted to understand more about how to take advantage of marketing, branding, networking in these types of events, what tips would you have for them and what would make them stand out?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to let the executive director of Tucson Young Professionals take that one because she does a lot of her coaching.
Yeah, I think, God, how would you make it stand out? I think a lot of it is making that really authentic, genuine connection. For Tucson Young Professionals, we also have an annual leadership conference that we host for our young professionals. We had that last weekend. And we did a facilitated networking event. And the first thing that our facilitator said was, when you have a conversation right now, you're not allowed to ask what you do, because they really wanted to like hone this message of like the importance of the relationships. And I think that that's true for entrepreneurs and professionals in traditional businesses alike, that if you have 30 seconds, 90 seconds, 3 minutes to make an impression on someone, you have to be authentically yourself to make that impression last. And then I think like the biggest thing is the follow through. So if you have a conversation with somebody at TenWest and they say that they can help you with this thing and you say like, yeah, I'm going to reach out to you. Like you have to then do that follow up, because otherwise like they're moving on to their next thing. And like are those connections and collisions that are created in those festival environments, like only matter if you have that follow through, so that 3 years later in your journey, you can say, oh, hey, that actually happened at TenWest and it worked out because I made that impact and I made that follow up happen.
I think what's really important in that, and something that I've learned the hard way, is don't trust that someone else will email you. Mm-hmm. Get their information, right? If they say, oh, great, I'll email you, I've got your information, like be like, no, like you need it as well, because you don't know what their week is going to be like. They forget, they lose it. So I think that's one thing I've learned from these different conferences that I'm going to, is I get the phone number and I text it right away with all of my information and how we met, so that like I remember too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's a pro tip right there. My only other thought around how an entrepreneur can feel successful at this is to really know what it is that they're looking for. So especially when you're meeting a potential mentor or a potential investor, I think, just being like, can I the pick your brain email is like, I think the bane of anybody that's in a mentor or investor. Like, it's like, it's not an effective email. You're not telling them what it is that you need from them. You're not, it means maybe you haven't even thought what you're going to use with the conversation. And if you're trying to get in with somebody, especially that's maybe you consider an expert in your space, or you're really hoping that they're going to give you 15 minutes of their time, and like that 15 minutes is so valuable for you, I think something that you can do to be effective, especially in spaces like this, if you're approaching a speaker after they've done a session and you want to be memorable, like a very specific thing that you're hoping to connect with them about is a lot more memorable for them than just like, hey, loved your talk. Like, it was great. And like, I'm working on something. Can I call you? Like, it's not like, you got to be a little more like intentional about what it is that you're trying to get from those particular interactions. And then just as like so we have built TenWest to facilitate different types of connection opportunities. And that is exactly like what you said, Tamara. Some people thrive. I don't think anybody likes networking. I will frankly tell you, like, every team member I've ever had has been like, you're so good at it. What do you mean you don't like it? I'm like, nobody really likes it. We would all kind of prefer to be with our friends and have our feet up and like, but we're going to do it. And like, just because you don't necessarily like it doesn't mean you can't be good at it. But then another thing is, we're trying to create opportunities where, okay, maybe you thrive in a very large mixer setting. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And that's like, you're just never going to thrive in that space. So we as organizers have heard that from our attendees. That works for some people, doesn't work for other people. So we've tried to create these other opportunities. So one-to-one mentorship opportunities you can sign up for as part of our mentor zone. You can see the sessions by track, and there's time built in after every session so that if a speaker stays around a little bit, you can talk to them briefly. You're going to know that people are in that session are obviously interested in the same sort of things you're interested in. We're creating the lunch links opportunities with facilitated conversations with 8 new friends at lunch in a smaller group setting, because maybe you're better at a conversational level if you're only around 8 new people. And there's a facilitator that's going to sort of help make sure introductions happen as least awkwardly as possible, right? So we're trying to create some of those opportunities. But I will say one other thing is, know yourself. So like, you don't thrive and you know that you don't come off well in large mixer settings, try to find an opportunity to make that really important connection that you need in a setting that works better for you, so that you can show up as your authentic self and you're not like rambling or not making that ask that you need to ask. Sometimes we just get in our own way. And so I think like knowing where you thrive and then finding where within the festival makes the most sense will let you show up in a way that like can help you stand out.
That's amazing. Amazing advice. Because the worst thing is to go to a festival and then not feel like you've accomplished what you wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
Or
and also, and I was going to say, Tamara, also, nobody wants to feel like you're just using them to get something. Like, I know that we're all there to network and to build these relationships and all of that stuff. But for me, I feel like my best business connections have been people that I didn't ask for something from, or that didn't come out as a business relationship till 3 years later, because we built that trust in that relationship. So if you're going, try to have fun, right? Like, you have pickleball, you have all these things. Maybe don't talk like, Jess, you talked about like not asking what they do, right? Just build relationships and then bring value to them. So I heard a tip recently, like, if you're not interested in networking, or it makes you like kind of want to just go home, maybe make a test out of it. Like, meet 10 people, have to take a picture with all 10 of them, because you have to have at least a little bit of a connection with them to ask them for a picture, right? Take 10 pictures and then email them the next day saying, hey, great time meeting you. Here's that picture that we took, right? So you're adding value to that relationship. And I think that authenticity, which we've been talking about a lot in business, a lot in marketing recently, that's a big trend right now, is authenticity really can come out in a more fun setting. So Tamara, we might have to just take pictures with a lot of people. That's what I'm saying.
We're going to be wandering around with headphones, doing silent disco party, playing pickle. Like, you'll be able to find us. We should just wear a shirt.
And you'll need your TenWest earrings. So
yes.
I wanted to, since we were giving tips, there's a book that I got that is really useful with questions. It's called The Book of Questions by Gregory Stock. And that book has been so helpful to me because it has all these questions, because so that you get into a conversation and you've got all like other things to ask other than like, so what are you passionate about?
Yeah. So I know that we're kind of coming to time here. I have one big question that I have to ask, and then I think we should really kind of talk a little bit about our session. But my big question here is, if we could fast forward 5 years, what does the vision for TenWest, for Startup Tucson, for Tucson young professionals look like?
Jess, you want to do TYP first, and then I'll do startup and TenWest?
Yeah. For TYP, we are revamping a program that Startup Tucson used to run that was attracting remote workers to relocate to Southern Arizona. We're widening that viewpoint to have an attraction program for any professionals that want to relocate to Southern Arizona. So remote workers or people that want to get a job here locally. So with that, our vision for 5 years from now is that we are intentionally growing our Tucson community and our TYP community and our TenWest Festival community with people who are like-minded and ready to grow and push Tucson forward in a way that's prosperous and sustainable for everybody. So that's our vision for TYP. And we love that we get to partner with Startup Tucson and TenWest to make that happen for not just our organization, but the whole region.
Yeah. And so for TenWest, I would say we've already grown a ton in our first 10 years, with COVID in there as the speed bump that set everybody back in their growth. But I think for us, like kind of how you said, an authentic version of Arizona's South by, right? That South by was the original inspiration. And I think, South by grew in all different sorts of ways. And if you've been to South by, I don't know when you went, Nicole, like when I went, I was like, yep, this is what I thought South by would be like. And like, it was good. There was a lot of things I was inspired by. Some of those we pulled back in as ideas into more recent iterations of the festival, but we want it to be authentically Arizona. I will say still authentically Tucson, but also Arizona. And then I think for me, when I think about what our founders need, especially in the way that work has changed, in the way that boundaries have changed over clients that you can serve, especially for people in the creative spaces, I want to pull other secondary markets as our target areas. So when we think about who should be coming, LA attendees are not necessarily the unlock in my mind, but like Albuquerque and like Santa Fe and San Diego, like some of these markets that when I introduce them to an entrepreneur, or when you meet another entrepreneur there, there's true client potential and collaboration opportunities versus like, I'm going to get swallowed up into some big LA marketing agency and I can't compete. I think we have a certain level of talent and not level of talent, a certain type of entrepreneur in Tucson that could benefit really well from another type of entrepreneur in another space, and finding spaces where those two can start to work together on a project to create unlocks for both of them. And I think that next expand for us is those types of audiences coming to truly like how you guys have discovered TenWest, discover what it means for them, for themselves, discover Tucson, discover Southern Arizona. How does that inspire them in their businesses? And then what connections can they make that are unlocks for both of them? So that's where I see our festival growing. And I see it growing more sustainably and probably slower than South by did. And I feel totally fine about that decision. And then I will say for Startup Tucson, sort of the same way. Everything we do is all around responding to our community, and being proactive in what our entrepreneurs need. I think with shifts in everything, economy, everything, we just always have to be kind of one step ahead of what they need and able to pivot as fast. So I wish I could give you like, in 5 years, Startup Tucson will be this, but I don't get to dictate that because we're a nonprofit and we are responsive to our entrepreneurs. So it sort of depends on how our community grows and the pace that our community, I would love to see us as, we are already an emerging, I think, ecosystem for startups and creatives. I would love to see us be further down that path. And I think we're headed in that direction.
I mean, Tamara, I think, what's really exciting about what's happening in Arizona, I'm from the East Coast. I'm from New York. I lived in LA, like all these big cities. And one of the things when I came to Arizona that I really realized is that Arizona was one of the forefronts in the like push for local first, push for local economies, for individual small businesses. It was actually a little shocking to me how advanced they were in that space, and it's only gotten bigger. They've done a lot of things like the Arizona Innovation Challenge that brings startups here into the Valley. They did a big push for venture money. There's a ton of new venture money that has been brought to the Valley. And what's really interesting about Arizona is I would challenge anyone who's out there in those markets, especially the Santa Fe, the New Mexico, who wants to come visit and figure it out, is that Phoenix is not the same as Tucson, which is not the same as Sedona, which is not the same as Wilcox, which is not the same as any of the spots. Arizona is very wide culturally. And I spent a lot of time in Phoenix. Now I'm spending a lot more in Tucson now that my boyfriend lives in Tucson. We split time between, he's a business owner down there. And so I'm starting to get involved in that scene, and I love how creative Tucson is. Tucson is that kind of weird, kind of creative, kind of it has its own vibe, and I love it. And I have a feeling that Liz and I, even though we've met before, have just become.
I didn't know you were coming down mission. All the time. Yeah, now that I know you're coming down, we're gonna go hang out.
Absolutely. I think we have a very similar mission. Ooh, yes. I think we have a very similar mission. And so, Tamara, I think that, organizations like this are the reason we do what we do. And I'm so excited that you guys are here for this. So how can people get involved? How can people, other than coming to our session, Tamara, which is going to be a live Q&A session where we're going to be answering real questions from real entrepreneurs in real time. Are you nervous?
Me? No.
I know, we live for this. So if you have a burning question that you want to ask an executive team member, you have a burning marketing question, growth, both Tamara and I, this, have backgrounds in startup, in business and growth, and all of these pieces. Come visit us at TenWest in Tucson on March 27th. We will be at one of the great venues that has been picked here by the TenWest team. But how can they get involved, Liz? How can they contact you guys?
Yeah, so the whole schedule for the fest is on TenWest.com. So they can browse and engage with any of those pieces, buy tickets. This is the first year we're selling an individual day ticket. So that's a new offering. Usually we only sell a whole festival pass. So we're trying to make sure that if people can only come for one aspect or one aspect really calls to them, that they can do that this year. The shows are in the evening this year. That's another change. Usually our keynotes have been during the day. So if you're still, in it and have that day job that you can't get out of to come to the full conference, there's opportunities like the Guy Raz show is an evening show, and Reggie Watts and all of our other sort of awesome stuff. And then the weekend things are great to engage with, especially if you're a fan of local products, local businesses, wellness, that whole sort of space. For Startup Tucson, if you're looking for help with your business or connections to mentors and the sort of broader Southern Arizona ecosystem, we also do some different capital projects we didn't even talk about today. But you can reach out to us. My email is just liz@startuptucson.com. So you can send me a note. I will probably not get back to you until after March 30th. Let's just even give me till like April 4th. But if you send me a note, we can get you plugged into the ecosystem. And if you're somebody that's ready to give back to the startup ecosystem from a mentorship perspective, we would love to add you to our mentor roster. There's more info on that at our startup website. And we can plug you in as a mentor to help all these founders that are ready for your support.
Amazing. I cannot wait. This has made me even more excited, even though the second I found out that we were speaking, I jumped on, I bought my plane tickets, and I was like, I cannot wait for this. But knowing all the thought that you've put into it, and then all the connection opportunities, like, this is my jam. I cannot wait to be there in person and meet you in person.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited you guys are coming. So yeah, let's see you at TenWest, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you all there.
That's it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our channel. We come out every week with experts just like this for lives. We have a newsletter coming out. We have some new case studies and troubleshooting. Lots of things are happening at the What the Frac team headquarters, I guess you could say, Tamara. I'll try to link all of the resources below because we named a ton of them today. Yep. And if you have any topics you want us to cover, you can always DM us or put them on our website. So please sign up, please subscribe, and we will see you at TenWest.
See you at TenWest.
See you there.